Bones loves living in New York. And one of the best things about living in New York is that we really get to feel all of the different seasons the earth gets to go through. Summer, spring, winter, and fall. He loves it. He prefers summer. He gets a little cold. He doesn't wear a coat. He's full of bones. And wintertime, it gets a little chilly. Okay? Loves summer. Spring and fall, kind of the same season to him. Not too hot, not too cold. Enjoys them as well. Whatever season you prefer, it's awesome. The changing seasons is great, but let's see why we have the different changes in the seasons. What's happening with the relationship between the earth and the sun that gives us the different temperatures that are outside? Let's take a look. Seasons are caused by two reasons. Seasons are caused by the tilt of the earth's axis and where it is revolving around the sun. Those are the two reasons that we get the seasons, okay? Now, Bones, do you remember what the tilt of the earth was? Oh, wait. Do you guys remember? That's right, 23.5 degrees. The earth is tilted at 23.5 degrees. Very important to remember. Put that in the back of your mind. Big reason we have the seasons. The other reason is because we are revolving around the sun. And when we revolve around the sun, that tilt of the earth's axis either tilts towards the sun or away from the sun. And this is what's going to actually cause us to have the seasons. Because when we are tilted towards the sun, we receive more sunlight in the northern hemisphere. Okay? When I talk about this, I'm going to be talking about this in respect to the northern hemisphere because that's where we live. Okay? So when we're revolving around the sun and the North Pole is pointed towards the sun, it's warm out because we're getting more sunlight. In the South Pole, it's cold out because the South Pole is pointed away from the sun and they're getting less sunlight. And then it reverses itself, okay, as the sun goes around, as the earth goes around the sun. So let's take a look. Summertime. The summer solstice, or the first day of summer where the sun is pointed, the North Pole is pointed towards the sun, okay, and is tilted towards the sun, is the day we get the most hours of daylight here in the northern hemisphere. The most. Remember, the earth is rotating on its axis right here, okay? It's rotating on its axis, and here's the North Pole. The sun is over here. Sunlight is coming in, and it's hitting a majority, most of the sunlight, or the majority of it, is hitting the northern hemisphere. When this happens, okay, it is summertime in the north and wintertime in the south, okay? So in June, it's always summertime in the north, wintertime in the south. Now, the reason for that is that the sun's rays are hitting us more directly. We're getting pounded with more sunlight here in the north, where in the south, it's getting less sunlight and it kind of skips off the earth. Now, notice here, the North Pole, when it's spinning on this June 21st, the summer solstice, the first day of summer, is going to get 24 hours of daylight. It's just going to spin out here in the sun. While the South Pole, this is wintertime down here now, okay, it's going to spin and stay in complete darkness, all right? So summer, the reason we have summer is because the Earth's axis, the tilt of the Earth, 23.5 degrees, is tilted towards the sun. We get more direct sunlight, which causes the northern part of the Earth above the equator to warm up more, thus giving us summer. Okay, so that's summertime. I love summer. In winter, it's the opposite. Our winter solstice is December 21st. Okay, first day of winter, on or about. Sometimes it's 22nd, sometimes it's 21st. Now, in the northern hemisphere, we are now tilted away from the sun. So we are going to get the least amount of daylight. Less light means colder temperatures. The sun is lower in the sky. That's why in the wintertime, our days get so much shorter. Sometimes the sun appears to be going down at 4:30 in the afternoon. That's because we're tilted away from the sun. We're getting less sunlight. Here is the North Pole here. When the earth is spinning here, it's going to get 24 hours of darkness. But now in the southern hemisphere, it is summertime. So the northern hemisphere and the southern hemisphere have opposite seasons. When it's summer in the north, it's winter in the south. When it's winter in the north, it's summer in the south. And again, the reason why it's summer in the south is that more direct sunlight is hitting below the equator, the southern hemisphere of the Earth. So that's why it would be summer there and winter by us. Again, our seasons are determined by what direction the Earth is tilted. Okay? When we're tilted towards the sun in the north, it's summer. When we're tilted away from the sun in the north, it is winter. Okay? So summer and winter. Okay, all about the amount of sunlight we're receiving. More sunlight means warmer temperatures. Now, spring and fall are basically the same season, okay? Except in one situation, spring, the earth is warming up. In the fall, the earth is cooling down. Now, our spring equinox, you should see the word equal in equinox, is March 21st or about. The fall equinox is September 21st or about. This means that the entire world gets 12 hours of day and 12 hours of night. So not one side of the earth or the other is getting more or less exposure to sunlight, which means the temperatures are relatively in the middle. They're relatively the same, which is what happens in the spring or fall. It's not too hot, it's not too cold. That's because there's equal amounts of sunlight being distributed in both the northern and southern hemisphere. So a lot of people think, let me scroll back up here. Remember, a lot of people think that we are actually closer to the sun in the summertime, because that makes sense. When you get closer to a campfire, it gets warmer. When you walk away from a campfire, it gets colder. But that's not what's happening with our seasons, and that's what's very important to remember. Please remember that our seasons are caused by the tilt of the earth. We are actually, mind-blowing, get ready. I know you don't have a brain, but be ready, Bones, because you're a smart guy. We're actually closer to the sun in the winter. Okay, we're farther away from the sun in the summer. But the distance we are from the sun has absolutely nothing to do with the seasons. We are so far away from the sun that that is negligible. It does not matter. What matters is the tilt of the Earth's axis. When we're tilted towards the sun, it's summer. Tilted away from the sun, it's winter. And that's why we get the 4 seasons.